How you guys doing? First off, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by and checking out this video, or for watching this video, period. I guess let's just start off. My name is Sean Edmondson. I'm a retired sergeant from the infantry out of Baumholder, Germany. Retired March 22nd, 2012. Enlisted in July 2006. Served in Iraq. Salman. Probably none of you ever heard of it. I never heard of it till I got there either. But anyway, the whole reason I'm doing this video is to get out and actually tell people, you know, one story, and then hopefully I can inspire other veterans to do the same and to sit down and actually tell their story. It's our inaction and not telling the truth about what actually goes on behind the closed doors at all veterans, not or Veterans Administration buildings or the VA hospitals, that it's us not doing anything, which is actually in turn leading to our 23 brothers and sisters every day taking their own life. This is an unsustainable loss. If we don't do something about this soon, there isn't going to be hardly any of us left. Alright. Personally, a good friend of mine, this is Staff Sergeant Josh Berry. He was at the first Fort Hood shooting. I'll be doing another video. This man right here, I stood up for and spoke out against some of the horrific things that were going on with him, and you know, I don't regret it. I've been penalized by the VA hospital for speaking up and out and against the VA for what they had done to him, and if I could go back, I'd do it all again. I'm sorry, but you know, I'm a soldier through and through. You know, that flag behind me means more to me than it probably does to half the people that work at the veterans hospitals. The best people that even work there are volunteers. They're not even getting paid to be there. They're there because they love their country and they want to help every veteran that they can. And you know, personally, you know, I salute every single one of you, but the truth be told, you guys need to be speaking up. When you see these horrific things going on, you're sitting on your hands and shutting your mouth just because you're worried about losing your job and losing your benefits. That's the wrong damn answer, and I'm sorry, but that makes you a coward in my book. You know, you need to step up and you need to actually really truly help veterans by making sure that these horrific things that don't even make news stories half the time, that they stop happening. I mean, this isn't nothing new. This has been happening since, this is as old as war itself. You know what I mean? Anyway, around February 2014, I was heading down to the VA hospital. I had my mother and my daughter with me. Was down there roughly at 8 a.m. For those of you who have never been to the Cincinnati VA, the OIF trailer, and it's just that. It's a double wide trailer right there in the construction zone. There's no handicap parking for you guys that are in wheelchairs. There's a nice little handicap ramp, and it's the furthest damn, you know, distance you could possibly go from the hospital, you know. But, you know, aside of that, we'll just go ahead and get down to brass tacks. After my standardized wait in the actual waiting room, my daughter, I had wait out into the waiting room just because, you know, honestly I knew that when I went back there, because I tried telling my mom, but she didn't believe me on half of these horror stories and some of the things. I mean, they'll put words in your mouth, they'll change what you say, you'll say one thing, they'll type something completely different in the computer, and they'll make you out to be a monster. And you know, this needs to end. Well, anyway, I'm in there to go see, slotted to see Dr. Peter Egan this time. I had not been to the VA for, I'm not really sure, but for a good amount of time, just from the last horrific visit that I had up there. They were sending me different kinds of medications, you know, for anxiety and depression and all this other stuff. And then, truth be told, I was doing much better off of them than I was on them. And when I was taking them, I had, you know, just horrific nightmares, and it was not doing me any good. I mean, maybe some people it worked for, but for me, they did not work. When I find the name of the medication, I'll actually take and try to put it in the description of the video when I find it. But anyway, I had stopped taking that. That'll show some relevance here in a minute. When we sit down, he asked me why I'm there, and I'm like, look, I need to get this form filled out for my financial hardship expedite. At the time, Congressman Brad Winstrup, who is also a veteran himself, had tried to, see if he could take care of me. When honestly, it was really more his assistant, Teresa Lewis. Thank you, Teresa, for everything that you have done. And I'm sure that if you were able to speak out, you hopefully would, especially since you know better than most exactly how horrible this system really is. But anyway, I needed to get this paper filled out, and this is just supposed to be a real quick in and out, get a couple signatures, get my, go there to sign to get my medical records released, and to get my x-rays and my MRIs sent over to the Mayo Clinic in Florida. Well, I told Dr. Peter Egan exactly what I was wanting to do and what I was trying to do, and he actually laughed at me and said that, that this isn't something we do, that the VA is not ever going to let you go somewhere else when we have the doctors and the equipment here to, treat you or to take care of you, or, whatever lie he'd been trying to, spew out at a moment's notice. From that point, I already knew that this was just a dead mission and I should probably just leave. But, kept going through the motions. My mom started trying to talk to the guy, letting him know, exactly, where we were, hoping that maybe if he had heard, testimony from somebody that, side of me, that maybe we could get something done. I mean, just taking into consideration here that I'm under the impression here that all of us have the right to a second opinion, and that we are not forced to go to the VA, and that's not right. And that's not right, meaning that they can't force you to only go to the VA. They can't force you to have to keep going back to the same VA, especially if you've had several problems. Well, anyway, he started asking me, like, hey, how many weapons do you have at home? Do you have access to weapons, ammo? Do your parents have access to weapons and ammo? And, me and my mom were kind of looking at each other like, what the hell is the point of all this? And then, then he said something. He said, well, I noticed in here that you haven't been taking the medication that we mailed to your house. So I said, yeah, if you want, I have the unopened envelope in the car. You can have it back. Like, I'm not taking that garbage. Like, it even says on the excerpt itself, causes homicidal, suicidal thoughts, behavior, dreams, all that kind of stuff. Well, then he moves into the, the question of, does all these little 1 to scale, pain questions and all the other stuff, and then, have you ever had any homicidal, suicidal thoughts, dreams, or actions? And I kind of chuckled and I laughed, and I was like, dude, I plead the fifth. I'm not answering that. And then he said, well, he kind of like laughed back, and then he's like, well, you can't plead the fifth. This isn't a criminal case. You're not being charged with anything. And I was like, well, on the contrary, like, we both know that if anybody answers anything other than no, and unless you say rainbows and butterflies, they will lock you up for an undisclosed amount of time. Well, that obviously wasn't the answer he wanted to hear. And he picked up his phone, he started typing in his little computer, and I'm sitting here trying to talk to the guy, and he's just in one ear out the other. He's not even listening to anything I'm saying. And then said something to the effect of, well, I can't in good conscience let you leave. And I looked at my mom, and we both looked at him at the same time. We're like, what do you mean in good conscience you can't let us leave? Like, dude, I'm not here to get medical treatment from you. I'm not here to get any kind of med refills. I'm not asking for anything short or anything more than I need my medical records transferred over to the Mayo Clinic. All right. Anyway, it became apparent and obvious that because I was not willing to admit myself for an undisclosed amount of time to an undisclosed program for an undisclosed reason, and because, I wasn't taking the anxiety medicine that he prescribed or that he was trying to prescribe to me, and then he literally flat out told me that he's not going to, fill my pain medication, none of the other stuff, and that he's going to, call security. And, he did. And then, I looked at my mom and like, see, I told you, this is exactly what they do. This is how they treat you. This is how they act. You know, I'm not being violent. I'm not threatening nobody. I'm not screaming. I'm not breaking stuff. You know, I'm talking to him in the same tone that I'm talking right now. Anyway, I get up and I told my mom, I was like, come on, let's go before this gets stupid. And, you know, we leave peacefully. And, you know, me and my mom and my daughter were walking out. Well, next thing you know is we get down to the ramp to actually leave from the trailers to head back to the parking lot. We get shark attacked by just a shitload of personnel. And I mean, they surround my mom, like literally just surround my mom, encircle my mom. And my mom's trying to get past them, and they just keep going shoulder to shoulder and putting their arms out, making sure that she can't get past. And then, you know, I told my mom, I was like, look, Mom, relax, be careful what you say. I'm going to go get the car. I will be right back, and we will get out of here, and we will never be back here ever again. Well, my mom is irate, you know, because, one, my mom knows that they are not supposed to be doing stuff like this, and she's pretty upset, to say the least. But anyway, me and my daughter, who was about 10 years old at the time, we're walking back to the car, and I'm trying to cheer her up, and, you know, she's a little worried. You know what I mean? And next thing I know, I got two guys come running up behind me, two armed security guards. One of them grabs me by my arm and tries to jerk me back. Well, I have spine problems. And one, you know, this guy just came running right up in my blind spot, scared the shit out of me. And, you know, I jumped around and, you know, I'm like, dude, like, you know, like, don't ever touch me. Don't grab me like that, man. Like, that's not cool. I'm not breaking any laws here. I'm not doing anything towards anybody. I'm not hurting nobody. Anyway, these two guys end up following us back to the car. I'm trying to get into the car. They're holding the door shut. They're standing behind. I mean, they're acting like a bunch of little immature kids. You know what I mean? Like they make some of the immature mall cops I've ran into in the course of my 33 years look like professionals. Anyway, one of the guys ends up taking and pulling out his firearm while taking a knee by my car door as it's being, you know, propped open by him, and points his gun at my, you know, at my side. You know, like he just unholstered it and kind of held it down, thinking that, you know, my daughter didn't see it. My daughter looked over at him doing that, looked at me, and had a very concerned look on her face. And I can't even explain to you in words on how upset I was, and I can't even think of the proper words to use to describe the feelings that I felt at that time. But, I mean, like I said, I'm not being violent, I'm not hurting nobody, I'm not doing anything to the point of that. I ended up having to call District 4 police in Cincinnati to end up getting able just so I can leave. Alright, now this is just one story from one guy, from one experience down here at the Cincinnati VA. And I'd like to be able to go into more detail, but I can't go over 15 minutes on here, so I'm going to be having to cut it short pretty well here about the next minute. But, you know, I'm encouraging all veterans to have had anything that's happened like this to please stand up, and we need to put an end to this. And, you know, I want it to be known that these guys still work there today, and I'm going to actually end up making another video so I can get a little bit more detail into this account right here. I can't remember the two officers' names that were there. There was actually ended up being 4 officers, 4 armed guards that they sent up there. It was only one of them who actually pulled his weapon on me. You could tell that 2 of them that were veterans knew what they were doing was wrong, and you should honestly find yourselves some new jobs. I mean, if you 4 guys still work there, you know, shame on you. But I thank you guys for watching this video in its entirety, and please help get the word out. You know, we were losing 23 veterans a day to this, and this is the health care that they claim that they give us and the health care that we actually get are not the same. So, like I said, this is just one man's story. This is Sean Edmondson from the world that we know, and I thank you and I salute all of you, and to all the families of the fallen soldiers out there. I'm sorry, and I'm doing everything I can to try to make sure that this ends and this never happens to another family again. God bless you, and thank you.